Hi Scorpios, and welcome to your April 2021 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to talk to you about the energies coming in for your sign in the month of April. Welcome back, Scorpios. I hope that you're feeling really good. I hope that you're resting up, and I hope that you feel like you at least are getting a better idea of your momentum and a better idea of where you're going from here, because the equinox time that we've just been through coming out of March should have very much revealed and made your feelings clear about your current reality. So that is going to be something that just gets clearer and clearer throughout the month of April. I do feel that you start to get more clarity. I do think that lingering confusion should really start to dissipate, and a lot should really start to clear up. And I'm seeing you really becoming a much more efficient problem solver and a lot more capable of finding a sort of sweeter middle ground on some of the issues that were coming up for you. And I've been meditating on your energy for a little while today, and there's not really that much sharp, tedious energy here. In fact, there's not that much of anything. Okay, so this is an interesting thing coming up for Scorpio. I just, when I'm tapping into your energy, I'm feeling that while yes, we have a lot to talk about and we have a lot to, sort of touch upon in this reading, I think that it is really an open experience for you. I think things have really opened up. I think that you have a lot of autonomy. I think that you have a lot of options in front of you, a lot of freedom, a lot of flexibility, more so than you might think, and also a lot of ability to make slight changes or slight adjustments to anything in your life, to the degree that you can really mold or shift anything toward the higher experience that you want. So try to really watch out for getting too fixated or for getting too convinced of stagnation or too prone to stagnation, because really it feels like the wheel is in your hands, you're in the driver's seat, and you have a lot of control. And I think that for some Scorpios, maybe that's becoming a little bit of a worry. Like, yeah, I have all of this control, but that puts the control in my hands, and the results are also then in my hands. So results have not been so controlled by Scorpio for the last few years, but now they really seem more so to be. So with that in mind, I do think that there's a need to think more about the further longer term momentum of what you're participating in, and how that might need to shift, or how that might need to flexibly adhere in an adjusted way to what you want now. Okay, if that makes sense. But I have a few more things to talk about before we get into the week to week. As you guys know, I like to do intuitive messages, then I do the week to week, and then I do an extended for you guys on Patreon, which will be linked below. So two more intuitive messages for sure coming in for Scorpio. The first intuitive message for April is, this is a big one actually. Knowing when you're not in the right place. Okay, knowing when you're trying to engage something or force something that is not natural in the current momentum. I think that this year, this month of April especially, deals a lot with the momentum and the like. If you can imagine yourself being the pilot of an airplane, knowing where the storms are, knowing where the wind currents are, and trying to not fight those things. Scorpio is a sign that instead of kind of rerouting, or instead of changing course to work more in tandem with the wind or current, it will just kind of push against it, because that's like the preset route. Okay, so I do think that you need to really plot your course in the month of April, especially getting into Taurus season, getting into your solar half return time. You guys should really be plotting your course in a more sensical way, and not just like forcing certain things to exist so that you feel like a comfort or security. The perfect situation for a Scorpio right now is to feel that what they have has naturally shifted and naturally changed, and it is naturally giving back to them. And there's not so much emphasis on getting your hands in it now. That's the optimum for Scorpio. But for those of you who do have changes to make, for those of you who have courses to plot, You want to make sure it's being done, or that you're doing it in a way that goes with the natural momentum that you've set, instead of getting really fixated, really fixed on a turnout that is not natural or not really cohesive to your life right now. And further in that, as I was saying at the beginning of this intuitive message, it's like knowing when you're in the wrong territory, knowing when you're not yielding a result, knowing when the effort or the focus is not ever going to give a positive result. Okay, being able to draw that conclusion now, and not repetitively causing problems, or not repetitively creating difficult turnout for you, is just important to see now, so that you can give yourself a fuller, more enjoyable day, basically. So yeah, just try to really pay attention to things that aren't turning out, like being in a certain place, or being in a certain, group, and people don't pay attention to you. People don't really accept you, or people don't really respond positively or respond well to you. Like there's just something that feels off. Try to not keep forcing those types of situations, and maybe reroute or change it up a little bit. Okay, and the last intuitive message that I'm feeling for Scorpio before we get into the week to week is that the goal here is not to struggle. Okay, the goal is to create a less anxious, less worried, less struggle-oriented environment for yourself. It should be calming, easy, and even like repetition is not bad. Having a lot on your plate is really actually not bad for Scorpio right now. It really actually seems to be helping your anxiety or your worries to have more that you have to get done. But the key to it is to not feel that it is in vain, or to not feel that you're doing the wrong thing, or to not feel that you're setting yourself up with a path or a course that is not going to give you anything, or that something has been done wrong, or that you've made some type of error and you feel out of control, or things like that are really needing to dissipate this month. Okay. Moving from Aries into Taurus season for Scorpio usually is calming. It's usually tranquil. It's usually clear. It should be easy. It should be natural. It should be receptive. Okay. And you should kind of feel that you have some amount of security in your life, even if that security is just represented by the ability to make a change, or the ability to change, not just change, but to create a course or a path. Like that's the word that keeps coming up, like a course. Like, and when I say course, I mean like a trajectory, like as if a ship were plotting its course to a destination. The course really comes up for you this month. Like, where is it all taking you? Where are all of these things leading you to? You have to really watch out for only seeking immediate gains, or only seeking present sustenance with the price of the future, or the price of future opportunities. That's very possible for Scorpio right now, and ultimately being seen as an absolute this month, or being shifted and maybe even put away. Okay, so not doing some of the things that you've done before anymore is possible. Okay. Or you basically understand that to be the case. So in some cases, we can't always just quit, what we're doing right on the spot. It takes a transition period, but I think that your mind really, really gets clear this month on what you don't need anymore. Okay, so any excess, any waste, any things that are being done in vain become very, very clear in April. And it's a blessing, but as you can see from your tarot reading, I would say, you can see that some of the tarot cards coming up are kind of heavy this month, but there are also some really, really positive ones too. It's nothing in between. The extremity and polarity of your personality or yourself come up this month, and you're going to come face to face with that and get some new ideas based on that experience. But I will say, Scorpio, you have to really, I think, achieve a new level of calmness, or a new level of ease in your life, simplicity in your life. We've been talking around this for a while, but when I'm sitting with your energy, more than any other sign this month, it really is not, it's not wanting to make these things complicated. It's not wanting to like create all of these like thought patterns and, you know, I could do this, I could do that, but I'm like really injured in this way, or I'm really emotionally burdened in this way, and I've got to look at that and I've got to see that. And it's nothing like that this month, Scorpio. And I'm actually feeling a frustration in your energy with this, where instead of just having an easy, nice time, instead of just finally being able to get along with your significant other, instead of finally just having financial security or ease in your life, you will pick through it, and you could potentially, instead of just having those things, find a problem or diagnose an issue or rearrange things or try to get to the bottom of something that is not a problem. Okay. So that's a big test for you guys this month. Okay. It's a big test to see if you will allow ease in your life, or if you will allow things to be, no longer problems. And if there are problems, it feels like you have to act immediately. Immediate action on problems, immediate solution orientation, because there's an in-between point for Scorpio and Aries. Actually, both the Mars signs are going through this. There's this in-between point between like feeling that something is off and then solving it, that seems to be like quicksand, or you can't get out of that in-between place, or you won't let yourself solve problems, or you won't let yourself like actually follow through on making your life better. There's this sticking point in, and that's torture. That's emotional torture, okay, done to the self, when you know that there's a problem, but you can't allow the solution to come through. So that, and it feels that there's very little tolerance for that right now from the universe, because things are meant to be simple right now. We are in Year of the Ox. We are in a 2-year, okay? It's not meant to be like rocket science here. I think a lot of my readings for Scorpio are sometimes like rocket science type of things, like getting really complicated. And as I'm trying to access your energy, it's already changed. I'm going to let you guys know that, Scorpio, your energy's already changed. There's none of that there right now. There's a very simple, if you can imagine like a perfume or some type of fragrance that only has a few ingredients. This is not a complex note. This is not a complex combination here. This is a very simple, lovely fragrance essence that is coming into your life right now. And wouldn't it just be great to let that be the case? Okay, but we're already going pretty far into this reading. I'm going to talk about the week to week for you guys. Let's look into the week to week of April. Side note, or pre-note before we go into the week to week. I think that things are going to get a lot lighter for you guys after April. I think that there's a lot of like coming of age in this month, and I think it is a coming of age month, and it is a calming month. So on the other side of it in May, I think that you have a lot of ease, but there are going to be some things to work through in April. Okay. And why not really challenge yourself to get things solved and done in April, okay? Make a list. Make a list of what you don't feel is secure or stable in your life, if that exists, and try to get that done here and now, because you've got a lot. The universe, strangely, is really supporting you to, like, yes, you know, 8 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 10 of Swords, dealing with those long-running mental difficulties or emotional pains is okay in April for you guys, but I find it to be out of the natural time, because it's not really what Aries and Taurus are about, though it's kind of been that way for everybody. So stream of consciousness for you guys this month, but we had a Sun Chiron conjunction along with Venus conjunction in Aries, and the full moon in Libra opposed that. So despite Aries being a very youthful, gregarious sign, it kind of got weighed down and really sought to heal some things up for a lot of people. So as a Scorpio, you would definitely be very much into that type of thing, I'm sure. But let's look at the week to week in April for you guys. Week number 1, you've got the 8 of Swords rooted down by Queen of Swords. So a decision to get out of bondage, a decision to get out of confinements, a decision to not keep yourself trapped in a certain output is largely a part of the first week of April. You're feeling like your time is maybe really taken up. You're feeling like you don't really know which way to go. You can't really see what's in front of you. You got to take that blindfold off. You got to get a little bit more, you've got to let yourself love your life. You've got to let yourself love what's in front of you in order to move through it. Otherwise, you're not going to touch it. You're not actually going to move through this healing process that you need. You're going to stay put. And that is not really the key. So you guys are just having to make that decision to see it, to love your life, to love what you're going through, even if it's just from the perspective of getting it better, okay? A lot of you need things to be a little bit better coming out of the first week of April. Second week, you have the Seven of Swords rooted down by the Hermit. I find that actually really positive for you, surprisingly. I think that through having a lot of sharp things around you, or through having like a lot of pressure, sometimes Seven of Swords is all about pressure. It's all about, trying to have too many pressurized things in your life. I would say clean it up. I would say clean up everything. I would say cleanse, purify, sanctify your experience to some degree, and learn. Okay, learn from this pressurized experience that you might be having in the second week. It's not bad. It's not like something to worry about. Though I feel that many of you are engaged in too much. I feel sometimes Seven of Swords is just about taking on too much. Also, it can be people with impure, ideas. Okay, so watch out for the people around you. Are they taking advantage of you? Are they taking more? Are you giving an inch? Are they taking a mile? It feels like you're sapped from how much people are requiring of you. I'm feeling that it's kind of like the energy of a demanding boss, or a demanding client, or a demanding. So somebody is demanding, okay, in this time. And it's not going to last long. It's going to be short, but I think that it really is triggering. With the Hermit coming up, you're protected. Okay, it's nothing to be afraid of. You have protection with this, and it's also teaching you something. It's also teaching you a really, really important lesson in the second week. First and second week of April are, okay, so this is interesting. I think you guys will like this. First and second week of April 2021 for Scorpio might just be the last 2 weeks of this like chaotic game that you've been going through, or this chaotic journey, this chaotic course that you've been going through for the last few years. You might just have like an incredible revelation aha moment. And maybe it's not easy, 7 and 8 of Swords, but I see that as you're going through these experiences, rooted down by those are like a really savvy, smart, intelligent, lesson learning, protective energies, okay? So it feels like you're there for yourself. It feels like you are not allowing yourself to go by the wayside. You're not allowing yourself to not follow through on the hard work that you've had over the last few years. You are demanding perfection of yourself to some degree. You are demanding, it's not even perfect. Perfection is not the right word, because that has a tone of unrealistic expectations to it. But it's a realistic type of very high vibration, very high level of output, very high quality expression that you're demanding of yourself, and the universe is working in tandem with you, and it's really going to show and expose. Expose is the word coming out. It's going to expose any aspect of you that's going to stand in your own way, that's going to sabotage these efforts, because it's almost like the universe isn't going to let you fall. The universe isn't going to let you strive for something and then fall away from it or fail. Okay, so it's like you got to get some of these things right off the bat. Here during equinox, here during Aries season, there's a few things that you got to tidy up. There's a few things that you got to, you've got to regulate in your own life right off the bat this year, this astrological new year, as to not fail, as to not fall through on some of these super, super ambitious things coming in. Ambitious isn't the right word either. It's more like, it's just very high altitude stuff coming in for your sign. And do you guys kind of see, as I'm going through this stream of consciousness, how one idea will come out and all of a sudden it gets like, no, that's not it, it's this. I'm sensing that that's also something that you're going through as well. That's evocative of 7, 8, and 10 of Swords, where the result happens and then you try to kind of scrap that away and create it again and make it better and better and better. It's perfectionism definitely coming up. And it's how things are on the inside versus how they're expressed might have a little bit of incongruency. Okay, so it feels like the universe is really working with you to teach you how to be the best in expressing, to be the your best self, the best version of you in what you're outputting energetically. It's kind of like that tough mentor energy. Week 1 and 2 of April. Queen of Swords and the Hermit are both like tough mentors. So some of you might be getting a tough mentor. Some of you might be, despite a demanding mentor, okay? And try to understand that it's not all bad now, okay? And you want to, you might want a little bit of a challenge in the first 2 weeks of April. Maybe you're being your own toughest mentor in some of these things, and whereas with yourself, you're called to take an easier approach to you, maybe it is a really unique window of time to have a really strong professor, to have a really strong business advisor, to have a really strong manager, to have a really, really, really strong, demanding parent, even. Saturn is really well placed right now, so those types of roles can be beneficial to us. Okay, don't try not to worry too much about it, and try to free yourself up, because by the 3rd week of April, moving into Taurus season, you have the 4 of Wands rooted down by Ace of Swords. Isn't that such a beautiful combination of energies? There's a sudden exhale. There's a sudden easing up. There's a sudden release of tension. A sudden ease, celebration, idea that comes into your life, and it wraps all of these old stories up. So very easy to get closure, because then you're getting the Sun and 10 of Swords in the 4th week of April. So it's like that 3rd week gives you the idea of, okay, this is how I have to move on. This is the change that I have to make. This is the next chapter for me, and this is what it means. So the realization is the 3rd week, and this is what it means is the 4th week. So what it means with the Sun rooted down by 10 of Swords to be so aligned, what it means to actually pursue that goal, what it means to actually be strong enough, not too heavy, not too weighed down by old painful situations, to actually allow in the nutrition of sunlight, to actually allow in the reality of what it takes to expand in this way. The Sun is also about purpose, life force energy. And with 10 of Swords energy, there's no accepting that. There's no accepting life force energy. Only after the 10 of Swords energy can we have that. So you guys have really got to let go of, so it's ending up being a pretty deep reading for you guys, but you really got to let go of this old tendency to just spend time with the wounding experiences, to just spend time recovering and recuperating from the pain of the past. That's going to take on a totally new tone for you, Scorpio, and you're going to feel that maybe it's your output now that heals wounds, that as you get that next success, or as you show yourself the follow through and the lack of failure, very wholehearted lack of failure, that now heals this wound instead of the laying in bed thinking about it. Okay, it's a big shift in that way for you all. It's looking like a really beautiful month in a lot of ways, though I will tell you guys that by the time you hit the end of April, if you didn't already feel very different by the beginning of April, you will. And it is a testing month. It is absolutely a testing month for you. How far will you take certain things? How hard will you hang on? How grasping will you be to certain ways of being, certain means of expression? How far do you want to go? Okay, with a certain foundation. Okay, I'm sensing that a lot of you guys at least have an update to do, or at least have an upgrade of some kind, or at least have, at the very least, sort of a catching up with yourself to do. Okay, as much time with you is best in April. At the same time, try to not deny yourself social interaction, especially in that third week. It's a celebratory time, but really beware of holding space for negative influences. Really beware for also letting yourself go into spirals of worry or anxiety. That's very congruent to these like negative toxic people that can sometimes show up in a Scorpio's life. Both of those things are a part of the Scorpio experience, but not in this paradigm now, not in this year of the ox energy, not in 2021. It's a very light, undark, it's the lightest energy for Scorpio I've ever seen. It's the most non-heavy, potentially, experience of a Scorpio lifetime that I've seen. But due to habit, due to ways of being, due to experience, Scorpios could just, for posterity's sake, make this a dark, heavy year too. So that choice is being made in this month. And I really request my Scorpio people to let themselves have a lighter, more enjoyable time of living. Okay. Anyway, Scorpios, thank you so much. It's all in your control is kind of the crazy thing. Kind of scattered reading. I know. I agree. Most of the other readings this month have been so easy. This one was a little bit hard for me to articulate, and I'm not ever afraid to admit that when it happens. Like the energy here for me was very difficult to catch on because actually it's a lot easier